The next car that you've selected to view on ClassicMuscleCars.com is another new arrival. Now, if you follow our website, you would have seen a black 64 Buick Riviera on there that was a dual quad car. We had so much response on that car, it was incredible. These cars are really rare and hard to find, and now we have another one. Now, this one is not in the condition as the other one, and it's going to sell for about a third less of what the other one sold for. But let me talk to you a little bit about these cars, what makes them so rare, and what makes them so desirable. Now, in 1964, they decided that they would come out with a dual quad package for the 401 Nailhead. If you ordered that, it was the same principle as if you got a 69 Z28 with a dual quad intake. They put the intake and the carburetors in the trunk. It was then shipped from the factory to the dealership, and the dealership would install the intake and dual quads. It wasn't until 1966 that you could actually order dual quads from the factory on the Riviera GS. So this car is extremely rare. There was not very many of them that was shipped from the factory to have the original intake and carburetors. Very rare setup on this. It's a 425 Nailhead with dual quads. It's rated at 360 horsepower. Now let's talk about that for a little bit. In 1964, if you remember, the 64 409, you could get a dual quad setup on the 09, which was rated at 4.25 horse. So this is a very powerful car in its day. It was a luxury car, but yet this was a muscle car. This was all muscle with these factory dual quads. Now, Jeremy's going to show you this great setup, and this car is just a turnkey deal. I'm going to walk around, I'm going to fire it up, then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the car itself. But this car is easy to start, has a choke to pull out. That's how easy it fires up and starts to run. It's got an excellent exhaust system on it. It's got a great sound to it. The car's got air conditioning, which is another option on this car. And it's also an AM/FM, which I'm going to turn this up. So it works, and it works very well. Now I'm going to walk around to the back and let you hear how this sounds through the exhaust system. Now let me talk to you about the car. The car, I'm going to shut this off, you can hear me a little bit. The car has had it completely rebuilt, including new pistons to the engine. When they did it, they had to punch it 30 over, so that's been done. It's got 30 over pistons in it, so it's got a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more displacement than it originally would have, but everything is new in the engine. Very reliable, very dependable. It's got a great trans, the brakes are excellent, the exhaust is new. The underneath of this car was painted, and I'm not saying that you can stick mirrors under it. It's not a body off restoration. It's just it was a very clean, exceptionally clean car. So they went through, detailed the undercarriage on the car. Now the engine is dropped in. It's got a functional engine bay. It's not highly detailed. You could do that very easily. What is one of the great things that you're looking at with this car is we have more of an original car than we do a restored car. Now, we know that there was one paint job put on this car. Probably, I'm looking at it, I would say between 30 and 40 years ago. The car's 45 years old. But one paint is all it's had on it. So it's very hard to find a car today, 45 years later, that is in the kind of condition that this car is, because what you see is what you get. Now, it's got driver paint on it. It's okay for driving around. If you would like a repaint, all it's going to do is bring the value of the car up. Now, we're going to sell it the way it is, or if somebody wants us to paint the car, we can do that too. So that's an option that you have. If you want to get some pictures of the undercarriage, have Randy email some to you, that's not a problem. I've driven this car myself personally. It's got a great ride and drive. The one thing I will tell you, it's got early power brakes. And if any of you have ever driven an early 60s car with the power brakes from early 60s, it's like, you better always remember, it's like driving with an egg underneath the brake pedal, because they're very sensitive. So you just barely put your foot on the brakes. That's the way that these cars were built back in the day. The car runs down the road. It's got great ride and drive to it. Now, you're looking at the car with black walls on it. They're fairly new. It does have the correct white stripe white walls on it for this year. If you like that look, you can turn those white wall out. So I'm just letting you know that. It's got the wire wheels on it, which was another option for this year. It also has the wood grain package. The standard 401s, most all of those had just a standard interior, didn't have the upgraded with the wood grain. This one's got the wood grain. Now the wood grain in it, 45 years old. It's in good to very good condition. The last one we had, all the wood was completely replaced with teak. This one is fine. If you didn't want to have to do that, you don't. The interior of the car is original. The two front bucket seats have a couple seam rips in it. You could replace the covers, or you could just have this resewn. But it's really in good, very good to excellent condition on the interior. So you got differences there, because I'm going to say good because it's got a couple little seam rips where the stitching is sewed, but then the rest of the interior is very good to excellent. And so is all the trim in it. These cars are really cool. Now another thing, and Jeremy will show you this when he comes around, this car has dual remote mirrors on it. That's another option for this car back in the day. So the passenger side also is a remote mirror, which is you do that from the inside of the dash. Now it's very easy to start. When you get in the car, you have a choke, you pull it out, give her a couple pumps on the gas, let the car fire up, let it warm up. And once it warms up, within a couple of minutes, you're ready to go. So it's not a real cold-hearted car. It has been dialed in to where it is excellent on the mechanical side. And again, the engine is all fresh, including new pistons. So everything was done from the bottom up on this car. When I look around at this car and look at the body, the paint, I know it looks pretty good on the video, but it's really a driver quality paint. But you're looking at one paint on this car. Most of you would look at it and go, well, it's original paint. But I've looked at it and determined that the car's had at least one paint job on it. But a lot of it was basically lacquer finish. It was not enamel. So lacquer is a little bit different than enamel, and it wears just like the factory. So you can see some of the wear on the paint. Still got a little bit of a shine to it. But again, if you really want to make this car really, really nice, you'd want to do a new paint job on it. But again, it has a enormous book value on it because it's so rare with the dual quads that some of you may want to drive it the way it is. You may want to take the car and you may want to paint it eventually, because this is a car that you can buy in today's economy, in the economy that we have today, at a great price, and it's always going to get you an investment return because there is so much upside to this car. Even today, in the market that we have, the book value is extremely high on this car for what it is, and we're selling it basically at the lowest value. So you want to give Randy a call at 847-526-5950, and he can get you some more pictures and information. We just got this car in, and like I said, this is an exceptional car at an exceptional price. So give us a call at 847-526-5950.
Grundy Worldwide recognizes that as a car collector, you want to protect your investment. At Grundy Worldwide, we offer agreed value coverage, unlimited mileage, the highest liability limits, and most importantly, low premiums. For fast quotes on coverage in all 50 states and for worldwide touring coverage, visit Grundy Worldwide at www.grundy.com and do it today.
Boy, these are good old cars. They just do not make them like that. Hood's open. We've got to look underneath. Air conditioned. Reasonably clean. Pair of Carter AFBs. Straight linkage. Looking good. Dual remote mirrors. Wire wheels. Seat covers looking pretty darn good for original. Seat covers are looking quite good. These are original seat covers. Look at that. Back deck. The headlight is looking great. And look at this console. Look at the dash. It's like a little cockpit there. Awesome. Looking at it from the rear, looking pretty darn good. Let's look in from the driver's side. Showing 44,837 on the odometer. Oil, fuel, temp, and amps for warning lights. AM, FM. Look at a little spaceship here. Rear lighter. And these seats are in pretty darn good shape. Tilt wheel, 64. And this beautiful 401 1964 Buick Riviera, brought to you by ClassicMuscleCars.com.